All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
This is Conversations with the Crawleys, and on this channel, we do a lot of conversations about faith, family, relationships, and we do recaps, reviews, and commentaries on our favorite shows. This one is the finale of Ready to Love Miami, and there's some stuff to talk about, and then we'll get into that trailer too. But if this is content, yeah.
Get it out.
This is content that you enjoy. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications.
And share.
And we'll see you in the comments. Consider becoming a member and checking out the merch store. All right. So, brunch is being had. Folks start showing up. Mm-hmm. Even Charisse.
I told you she was going to show up. I told you.
She wanted that last brunch meal.
She wanted that brunch meal. She wanted to give her speech. You know, how she had to let a brother go.
She ain't tell the full story because she really got dismissed. She didn't. Yeah.
You don't need to hear that. As far as they know, she was the victor.
Yeah, no. She's playing the victim. Okay. Kayla grabs her plate and she goes and sits by herself. Mm-hmm. Hoping that Randall or Mike would come sit with her.
It didn't happen.
It almost, you know how you had that one kid in like grade school that nobody sat with, nobody liked. That's kind of the vibes that it was just like she was sitting over there.
Well, there was nowhere to sit because Swayze, Rara, Mike, and Charisse were all at that table. There was no seat.
Okay. Chairs are able to be moved.
Well,
you could move a chair.
There was plates and chairs already set up. She was like, I ain't doing all that work. Because if you want to come and sit by me, you'll come and sit by me.
Or she could have just said Rara or whatever the boy's name is, or Mike, or even Swayze. Hey, can you pull up a chair for me? But it was like she chose the most out of the way table. Because like even when Katie and the rest of the ladies came in, their table was at least like within arm's length from everybody else. She was sitting like on the other side of the island at a table. That's kind of what it looked like. So finally, you know, after I guess the other ladies kind of felt bad, they kind of went over and sat with Kayla.
Right.
So then Katie starts talking about how they had a fight. Her and Swayze had a fight like the night before. Because
as she's coming in,
yeah.
In her narrated part.
She's like, so I want to see how this is going to go. And Swayze was like...
He didn't even turn his head. He was like, Swayze could be petty. He was like, I ain't trying to look for this energy.
He's like, I'm just trying to get me some mimosas and some crab cakes. I'm not doing this. And Randall tries to give him some heads up. He's like, look, man, she really like you. He's like, you think so?
Man, stop playing.
He said, you know, often that hard exterior means that there's a soft interior there, which I think is very true of Katie. And I think Katie does have a hard exterior, but for the right person.
Right. Swayze ain't trying to break any hard nuts. He ain't trying to use his fire axe. He ain't trying to climb buildings to save damsels in distress. No. He was like, I need my peace.
So, Tommy does ask, what's her name? Charisse.
Charisse? So what happened? Well, in her version, she didn't get the response she needed to know that, you know, he was the one. So, and he goes, okay, so that means we're exiting. He was helping her out. So do you want to come and say something? Because you don't have no more connections, boo.
So she gives her school assembly speech.
School assembly speech.
She gives a speech like, y'all have fun, y'all. Well, first of all, I can't do the nasally voice that she has. What?
Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
But she does her. She basically is like, you know, I came looking for love. You all take hold of what you got. Make sure you love the person you're with and make sure your choices and all that stuff. Okay.
Everybody like, all right, are you done?
Yeah.
Are you finished?
Finished or you done? Go ahead, step. Bye.
Your
like, Uber is waiting.
He's like,
So then Tommy's like, okay, we're, here's.
Ooh.
Okay,
It's Katie.
Okay, Katie, go.
Ooh.
Go right ahead.
I have something to say. And you need to go ahead and bring Swayze up too, because I'm going to say this.
So at this point, I'll be honest, I didn't know if we was going to get a proposal, if she was going to drop to a knee or what. But she asked for a counseling session almost right there.
Might as well. She put it all out on Front Street.
So basically, what we've been seeing from them is that there is a language or a communication barrier. And Tommy even brings it up. He's like, yeah, sounds like y'all just miscommunicating. You're saying the same thing, you're just using different language, which in all honesty is a common thing in relationships, in marriage, what have you, because you've heard us say it many times. You have two different experiences that you're coming in trying to create a new experience. You're going to have language barriers. You're going to have language conflicts. It's just a matter of working through it. But Swayze's like, I ain't got time for all that. She's stressing me out.
Right. But he says at one point, he's like, I told her I could see a future with her. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. So in his mind, he's already said there's a future.
He's communicated that, right.
To her, she wanted some type of plan, though. Mm-hmm. Can you plan for that? Because she was talking to Tommy before, right? Tommy was giving advice, explore and get a plan from him. Mm-hmm. And I get both sides. You want to know, okay, I need to clearly understand, how do you define a relationship?
Right.
Is it like, after this, do you want to continue to be open and still see other people? Mm-hmm. And then make it to the point where we'll let each other know when we want to become exclusive. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking that's the plan she's thinking of, right?
Right.
Because obviously you've been dating several people. Now you've found that, okay, I'm interested in you. But what does that mean outside of this taping?
Right.
And that's what he wasn't understanding. Now, if what he was saying was like, well, we just going to see, and we're just going to let fate take us to the point, then maybe that's not enough assurance for me.
Exactly.
But yet that's more than enough for him.
Right.
So they kind of go back and forth a little bit.
And then Tommy's like, okay, are y'all willing to fix this? And Swayze's like, nope, I'm good. I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can catch a ride with Sharice.
And Randall was like, man, don't do it, man.
Don't do it. No.
Don't be petty. Be vulnerable.
And Swayze was like, nope, I'm going to stick in my pettiness. I'm gone.
I don't know her enough like that to be fighting for this. And UCK, she was a little disappointed. Mm-hmm. She really wanted him to kind of like fight to see where this could go. Yeah.
Now, I think that was the wrong environment for her to have that conversation with him, because it did kind of, in my opinion, put him on Front Street.
Right.
So that may be also why he gave the response that he did. Right.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you're bringing this. If you wanted to have a meeting with Tommy, cool, but you're bringing it up in this environment with everybody.
And you have to know the person. Mm-hmm. Some people, they confront better when there is people around. Some people don't do well. If you embarrass me, I'm going to shut down.
Yeah.
You putting me out there where I'm not trying to be seen, I'm going to shut down.
I'm going to I'm going to swing the pendulum.
I'm going to do the opposite
way.
Even though my heart's telling me to do something else, just because you got me up here.
Yep.
And making me look like I'm a fool.
Yep.
It ain't going to happen.
So that's what happened. He was like, I'm done. And Katie was like, I guess we're done.
And so they walk off into the sunset apart.
Mm-hmm. So then Tommy's like, all right, so now that makes this a whole lot easier. We ain't got to send cameramen all over the place now. We just got a couple of places to go. We saving some money on production. Let's go.
Because there's only one extra woman.
Right. There's 2 guys, 3 women.
And
so Tommy's like, all right, ladies, last week y'all introduced y'all introduced the guys to your family. Fellas, it's your turn. Introduce the ladies to your family. Get some clarity and make some decisions. Mm-hmm. So Mike brings Brandy to meet him with his brother. Can't remember his older brother or younger brother.
I can't remember either.
But he meets her. Long story short, he had a little concerns as far as the fact that she had no real relationships.
Correct.
And then they were like, okay. He was like, okay. So what would you change about yourself?
Change what? There ain't nothing about Brandon that needs to be changed. There's nothing about
They're
Brandon.
like, oh, so you're just perfect, huh? Well, no. But
and then he asked her, like, so what did you do wrong in your past relationships? Where could you see the flaws where you could have done, just trying to find out how she calibrates herself.
And how self-aware you are.
Right. She was like, let me think about that. Now this relationship, nobody ain't doing nothing wrong. Let me see about that relationship.
So basically, she was like, she ain't do nothing wrong in her relationships.
I was like,
and
what?
she wouldn't change anything.
I was like, what? Brandy. Girlfriend.
Listen, I can tell you about the mistakes I made in my relationships before Tarsha. I can even tell you the mistakes that I made in my relationship with Tarsha. And she can do the same thing. She can tell
do the same thing. But I'm like, nothing. Maybe I should have stayed longer.
Not one
Maybe
regret.
Not one regret.
Not one regret. Not one.
And she like,
let us know what movie that's from. Not one regret. You don't have one. Not one. All right.
She's like, so you're perfect. I'm not perfect. But bro, man, like, but you can't tell me nothing. So what are you saying? So Mike's gonna have to tell us at the reunion if there's a flaw.
If there's some flaws
in Brandy, because she can't tell us.
Yeah, somebody need to.
Oh my God!
All right. So then,
he's like,
yeah,
he was just shaking.
But he was okay with her. He didn't have any other like things. So he's like, nah, bro, that ain't the one.
Right, because he felt like she had good energy. She seemed like a sweet person.
Yep. So
nothing off-putting.
So Randall brings Kayla to meet with his brother. And so the brother is they're asking questions. He's asking questions, what have you. Kayla's in a predicament because she feels like her and Randall kind of connected very early on, and they didn't tighten that up. They kind of just relied on that initial great connection and did not really feed it and build on it. So she even made the statement that she thought she had her place and someone took her place, or Randall let someone take her place, which is kind of what happened, in all honesty. So, but then the brother asked, what did he ask her? It was something like, what would do you really want Randall? And she was like, I can't really answer that. And then
it was more like she put it on him.
Right.
Well, does he want me? Does he want me? And he's like, what? He was like, well, I'm asking. And then Randall goes, okay, but that's not the question. Do you really want me? Well, I feel like that Prince song is going to come from somewhere. But
you were all thinking it too. If you watch this channel, you were all thinking it. I wasn't going to sing it, but you were thinking it.
Yeah. He wanted her to just start singing it. I want you. But nah.
Baby, tell me. I may not know what I'm going through. Ow! All right, let's go.
So, and she's like getting all riled up. And Randall ringing her in.
Yeah.
Kayla, I need you to look into my eyes.
Okay.
Look into my eyes, Kayla. He's asking you a specific question. But I can't tell. I can't say. I don't know. Then just say that. I was like, okay, Randall. What you got? We got the little powers going. You putting it on her. He was like grabbing her chin. Look at my eyes.
Randall might be getting some juju lessons from LJ.
I was like, okay. We had this conversation. You couldn't tell me. Then just say that. So after that, the brother's like, nah, man. Nah.
He's like, I see, but I don't see.
I'm not feeling that. If she can't say what her feelings are towards you,
Right.
then why is she here?
And I get what Kayla, because Kayla is like, I don't want to express my vulnerability, and you haven't even given me. You're still telling me you're making the decision. So I get what she's saying, but yes, she does need to communicate how her feelings are, because your feelings should not be dictated by someone else's indecision. You can say this is what I want, but that doesn't obligate you to continue with that if they don't want you.
But this is the thing. That gives him all the power. I'm so sorry. But to me, that gives him all the power.
True.
If I'm saying you're my strong connection, I'm deciding I want you. You're becoming definite in who you are. Now, guess what? Love hurts sometimes.
Yeah.
So making that decision, yeah, it could cause you to be hurt. But if that's your decision, because really, Randall's her second choice. Randall's really not her first choice.
That's true.
Let's be honest.
That's true.
Mike is the one where she been saying was her first choice. And her friend says you should be going with Randall. That's who you need. But you mess with all these Mikes in the world. So she should have just says, you know what? I really have a strong connection with Mike. I like Randall. We have a good time together. But if he doesn't pick me, I'm not going to be sad about it. That's how you gain your control back. Like, I'm not going to be sad, because my strongest connection was Mike. If Randall doesn't pick me, I'm good. And just left it at that.
Yeah, well, she didn't.
She didn't.
So then, a little later on, Mike brings his brother to meets with his brother and Kayla. And there's this thing about the Pinot Grigio, because she upgraded Mike a little as far as his wine capabilities.
From the $3 barefoot?
From the Thunderbird.
From the Thunderbird.
And Mad Dog 2020 up to Pinot Grigio. Yeah. Yeah,
because we find out Mike's perspective is that she comes from a well-off family, right? And so telling the brother this, right? So everything in his mind is that this is high class right here, right? This is high class coming to the table.
You better go to Aldi and get your $3 bottle of Pinot Grigio. You good?
It all works the same, right? So, she comes in and sits down and everything.
And she's got her Pinot Grigio because they ordered it for her.
Right? And so they're laughing and different things and talking. And he was like, so what do you see, my brother? What are you going to bring to the table? Because she talks about being a debutante, but she's from Georgia. That's kind of like common for, Southern.
Jack and Jill.
Right. So, and she talks about going to Howard. So, Howard University. And so, she's well educated. Let me just say this.
As a former Morehouse person, friends don't let friends go to Howard. But here's the thing, I'm good. It don't matter.
So now we get to see a little bit more, right? Because before we don't get a lot of background on the people that participate on Ready to Love, right? So we know that for her lifestyle, there's certain things at a certain level she wants. There's standards. Yes. There's standards.
But she does say that her goal is to help him expand and help. She's like, I see so much in him. I want more from him. He's capable of more. And he self-sabotages himself.
And put limits on himself, And she's like, I see a family. I see our family crest.
I see us having a foyer.
And they were like, woo, what is that?
You mean a hallway?
I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, you use fancy words and stuff. Where did that come from? She like, guys, that's what it's called in the house. Like my mom's in real estate. That's what they call it. That's the plans. Like that's been there forever.
Right.
That's like, this is not something new.
So Kayla basically saying they don't use the country crock butter container as food containers. She's like, they don't do that in her house. They actually have containers for food.
They got real Tupperware. But for them, right? Also, you bougie. See, this is where we got to understand. I feel like bougie is when you may be at a level and pretend to be somewhere else. Okay. But when you have a standard of living that's already here and you've lived here, that's not bougie. You just have a different standard of living, how you were growing up or how you were raised, pretty much. But I feel now that's why we keep getting this sense from Mike, if he feels like he's on her level, right? And feeling comfortable in his skin. Yep. Because if you don't know what the foyer is, then maybe you're right. Maybe they are having mixed conversations, right, where he ain't picking up everything she laying down.
And it's possible that he's all part of his concern is fitting into her world.
Right.
He sees Brandy as someone that can fit into his world, and right, he can fit into her world.
Right.
He's probably, because he kept using the word fantasy, called her fantasy.
Right, right.
So it's that means words. That he, somewhere subconsciously even,
right,
there's a concern, if you will, about fitting into her world.
Right.
Because anytime you have a fantasy.
Right. It's a place where
it's a not real place or not real thing, right?
Right.
So yeah.
But see, sometimes I feel like we need that, right? We do need to grow. We need to experience different things. So he was excited about finding out about different wines, because when she introduced, at the end, she said another wine. A Bordeaux. And they were like, oh.
It's like, okay.
Guys, calm down. Those are the basics.
Like they say, Moscato. Chardonnay.
Oh, you got the Chardonnay out. I can see about the barbecue. Mike pulling out y'all, man, ribs go real good.
With this Bordeaux right here.
With this Bordeaux. They be like, man, if you don't get out of here. So, so it's like, okay, so it's good to see a little bit more where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. And, granted, whatever you like, that's what you like, right? But I think sometimes it's good to push yourself and to explore being relationships. And
having somebody that you're connected to who also you kind of help grow each other.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
There are things that I got exposed to that you knew, and vice versa. There are things that I exposed you to that you didn't know, right?
Correct.
So if the goal of your relationship is just to keep everything the same, more power to you.
Right.
But if the goal of the relationship is to also expand your world.
Right. And see, that's what I think we also need to look at, that she didn't have a problem with him, though.
No.
She didn't have a problem saying, you know what? I'm willing to work with what you got. Mm-hmm. You own your own business. Mm-hmm. She can see the expansion of it. She sees the potential of what the relationship is and the potential that Mike has. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I feel like sometimes that our black men, because our black women are doing so well, they don't want to become the partner and become the family that can really do something. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting at?
I've told you plenty of times. If you start making 6 figures, 7 figures, I will scrub toilets. I'll be the kept man. I'm good.
We got this recorded. I'm on my way.
Make your 6, 7 figures. You can record it. We can replay it. Everything. Too.
So let's just practice now. Just pretend.
No, let's pretend. There was an if. There's an if-then statement.
Let's pretend I'm going to get there. We're practicing.
Okay, well, pretend that I'm doing that while you're pretending that you got it. I don't know what you think this is.
Look.
I'm going to do my part while you pretend on your part.
Right.
That don't work.
Scrubbing and cleaning.
I'm good.
No, not good. We're going to do this together then. Because you talking about...
Y'all heard the if-then, right? All right.
I heard. Till we get there.
All right. Anyway, back to Ready to Love. Because they don't...
Talk about you going to start scrubbing. I'm like, oh, okay. Let's just do it now. Let's start scrubbing now. Don't have to ask 10 times.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. But he's good. Mike's brother is good with Kayla. He's
because they were having a good time.
Right. And Kayla's energy was completely different with Mike.
It was.
Completely different with Mike.
It was.
So
Mike didn't have to bring her in.
Exactly. So Randall does meet with Jamala. And they get into the conversation about her insecurities. Right. And she does kind of explain some of that as far as, that's just how she wants to be for her person. Once she's locked in, she's locked in.
Oh, yeah. She locked in. She's scary locked into me. I can feel his vibe.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't have to be in the same room. I just feel something's off.
I'm like, all right, hold on.
I'm going to be good. All right.
So
yeah. So, but Randall's energy with her was different as well. And so the brother picked up on that, and he's like, yeah, he's good with Jamala. He's like, I prefer Jamala over Kayla. So then Randall meets with Kayla.
Okay. So I appreciate him wanting to maybe talk to her in person.
Yes.
Because I felt like the way it ended up, he could have did it over the phone. Just being honest. But he was trying to make an effort to just kind of like, okay, since we've been having really deep conversations and we've been talking, I'd rather kind of do this in person.
Because didn't she say that they've been having much better conversations since the house?
He's been reaching out more outside of the retreat. And they've been having, he says, she opened up. They had a lot of deeper conversations. And so he had some feelings for her. And it was going to be hard for him. Well, I get being hard. But at the same time, you do got to open up your mouth and just rip the Band-Aid off. Because to me, it made it more difficult. It was just more excruciating to watch.
Because he does tell her his brother was not a fan, right?
Because she asked, she's like, okay, I'm here. What happened with, your brother? And what was his advice? What did he say to you? Because she's like, at this point, let's just get it over with.
And there was just, it was an awkward silence.
He's just staring at her. And she's like eating.
And then she's cutting up his food.
She's like, so what'd he say? Huh? How was he acting? Did he like me or did he not like me? I was like, oh my God, what is going on? What is going on? Why? First of all, why are you cutting his food?
Why are you cutting his grown man's food?
Because at first I thought she had 2 plates. I thought she had her salad.
No, her salad was in front of her.
And I thought she had her meal or something. Because this cutting this meat was like, I think the cow would have said, moo. She was like rugged with it. And he's looking at her. I was like, and she's like, she put the plates back. She lay his forks and stuff and gives him his napkin so he can start eating. I was like, Randall, you are being treated like a king. You remember when they were talking like he's been
a king or a 5-year-old?
I was like,
because
why are you cutting his meat?
You treat me well, but I've never had you reach over and cut my food up for me and then put a napkin over my lap.
You want me to start doing that for you?
No. No.
Oh my God. So, and it was just like, this is a weird scene, right? And like,
strange.
Oh my God. I was like, okay, I'm watching this in real time. I'm thinking.
So he talks about how he's still indecisive, whatever. And she's like, okay, well, you got to make a decision. I'm not choosing you. Okay.
It was like he was holding him back. And he didn't even. I would rather say, okay, Kayla, this is all the things I liked about you. And this has been really hard for me because I've gotten, even the last couple of weeks, gotten to know you so well. And I appreciate everything about you, right? But unfortunately, I won't be choosing you. But for you to, like, it was like she had to put a gun to his head And then it just blurts out. I'm like, you don't resolve conflict. I can tell you do not resolve conflict well. Because you can't be in a relationship if you cannot communicate when you need something or when something's wrong. Because you're hurting the person. I feel like you're doing the person a more of a disservice when you're unable to communicate or you're not sharing how you really feel. And then it just blurts out like that. I was like, oh my God.
Please don't be offended by it, but it's almost like he had Tourette's with it. It was just like, so I'm not picking you. It's just like yeah.
I was like, okay. So she was like,
okay. So that was the last we saw of Kayla.
And Kayla was like, I just wish he would have just said it. Well, he did just say it. But why couldn't you just say this sooner?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have to cut up your steak.
Yeah. And one of you viewers did say that, I guess on a live, Kayla said something to the effect that production wouldn't let her leave. That production was keeping her around, which we've heard things like that in previous seasons where they'll kind of keep people on just for more dramatic effect, what have you. So
so she wanted to leave.
Because that, to me, that helps me to understand why the impression that I had of Kayla, as far as she's being played as second fiddle to on both of these sides, why she would stick around in this situation, and it helps to make sense of maybe why we're seeing that.
Gotcha.
That production would basically say, no, you got to keep filming. You can't just quit. So,
but guess what? Everybody else quit.
Well, they might have let Katie go.
No, but I'm saying, or in previous, when they don't show up and they were supposed to show up. Yeah. So you can say that.
They might have put something else in the contract this time.
You think?
Last time, old girl that just didn't keep showing up, they might have been like, look, in this contract, you will be fined. So it's possible. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll get an interview, or maybe we'll hear something at the reunion. We'll see.
Okay.
So then, now it's time for decisions to be made. So Rando goes into the forest of Miami. Is it just me?
Rainforest?
Is it just me? Because it seems like every season they find kind of the same type of place to
like
do.
A bridge.
A bridge in the middle of a forest.
There has to be a pond.
Yeah. Or by the, because even Maryland, they did on the beach, by the shores, what have you. Yeah. So they always have one that's by water, one that's like on bridges, and one that's like in the middle of the forest or something. So Rando got the forest bridge combination.
Yeah. I mean, guess what? Telling me where you, I want you, it could be anywhere. It could be in front of an AMC. Like.
And if you're real basic, do it in front of a Goodwill.
I mean, like, it doesn't make it, I guess they're trying to make it more romantic.
But you're just romantic, basically saying, I want to date you more. It's not like they're asking for marriage, right? It's not like this is the honeymoon or the fantasy for your proposal.
Right.
This is, I'm choosing you to date outside of this show that we've been on for the last 8 weeks. That's what this is.
That's true. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, and you're right. They are putting the same scenes. If they want to make it different, take them on a whole weekend or whatever.
Production, switch it up. It's time to refresh some things.
Refresh it. Have it do it at an amusement park. I don't, at this point, they could put a green screen behind them, Do
it on the moon.
Or why don't they save it and don't share until the reunion?
Because they ain't surviving to the reunion.
But that's what I'm saying.
Not one of them is surviving to the reunion.
That's what I'm saying.
In previous seasons, for the most part.
So that's what I'm saying. So they'll cut that they chose them, and then go right into the reunion that they ate together.
I chose you that day, but I don't like you no more. In fact, I'm going over to the other couch.
Okay.
So needless to say, Randall chooses Jamala. Says that she has always, that he acknowledges that there are multiple, but he says that she was always his number one. It's not really what we saw, but okay. As far as what we saw, again, could be editing, could be what have you. But she chooses him. He chooses her.
Like that's There's a no-brainer. That's another thing.
We saw that coming.
It's a no-brainer.
Because anytime you're concerned about somebody else tickling his scrotum,
you know that's going to be on a reunion.
Yes. So then Mike goes onto the beach barefoot. And
he didn't do a close-up on no feet. I was like, with a full suit on.
And they tried to make it a little suspenseful, but we knew it was Brandy. Mm-hmm. So Brandy comes down. He does
with the wind blowing.
Yes.
And her two-piece.
Yes. And he chooses her, gives her some white chocolate strawberries
in a box,
and she chooses him, and he picks her up, swings her around.
Oh.
Yay! All right, and that again was not a big surprise either.
Nope.
This one was there were no surprises as far as this. I think the only surprise for me was that Katie and Swayze self-eliminated before they got here.
I think
even though they still in them Instagram streets doing what they do, right?
Right. And if we're saying with Kayla, that's the surprise that she was there till the end.
Yes.
Because I was like, why?
Yeah.
So to me, when you put production is trying to put you in a predicament, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Right. Because I feel like this show, out of all the shows when we're talking about relationships, I think it does try to stay true to the essence of what real black love looks like.
Right. That's one of the reasons we like this show. Mm-hmm. So,
and trying to throw something in there, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Because we know, black people know when stuff don't
Now, I will say, again, because you've heard it sometimes, the editing as far as just how things were laid out this season
was a lot better
than they were last season for Potomac or DC, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But now we've got the reunion coming up. And so definitely we're going to do a video that is dedicated to kind of picking apart what we see in that reunion teaser. Because there's a few things that are in there that we'll want to see kind of how that plays out. And then
see if there's 3 rounds of boxing.
Yeah, because there was about to be a couple of fights breaking out. Listen, I'm putting my money on Katie. All right. Anyway, that's it for this one. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Listen, what's the line on Katie? And Katie, and if you're watching, listen, we'd love to do an interview with you. All right. That's it for this one. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.